Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That was my feeling going into the final season of Game of Thrones. But no one could have prepared us for this shit show. Varys, one of the most intriguing characters on the show, the master of whispers and the first casualty of this clusterfuck. The man who was always 3 moves ahead and whose motives were a mystery now openly conspires against his queen for some inexplicable reason. Daenerys, who up until this point on the show has proven herself to be a capable leader, courageous and compassionate in equal measure, often to her detriment. There is no logical reason as to why Varys would betray her. But fuck it, who cares? And what was the plan, by the way? Poison Daenerys? And then what? I mean, I guess he could have blamed Cersei, said one of her spies infiltrated the kitchen. That is, if he hadn't have been running his fucking mouth the last 2 episodes, making it absolutely clear to anyone who would listen that he was going to betray her. But let's say best case scenario, Jon and Tyrion don't suspect him. Or maybe they do and they just don't care. What about the Unsullied and the Dothraki? Did he think they were just going to declare their loyalty to Jon? Why would they? They have no connection with him. It seems just as likely that they would suspect that Tyrion and Jon and Varys conspired together to kill Daenerys and just slaughter them. And the Northmen. But let's give Varys the benefit of the doubt. Let's say the Dothraki and the Unsullied do decide to fight with Jon. How are they planning to put him on the throne? I mean, we as an audience know that Jon is a Targaryen, but the rest of the kingdoms don't. What proof does Varys have exactly that Jon is the rightful heir to the throne? Aside from Bran, a kid in a wheelchair who can see into the past and the future? Are people just going to buy that? Just believe it? Oh, well, I guess they have that account from the Maester that Jon's best friend found, that Rhaegar secretly married Lyanna. That's not convenient at all. Are the remaining lords of the powerful houses in the Seven Kingdoms just going to take their word for it? That Jon is the legitimate heir? Is it that easy? Oh, Tyrion, what have they done to you? Remember in the first 3 seasons when Tyrion was one of the cleverest men in Westeros? An astute player of the game, underestimated, mocked, and belittled. Yet despite all he suffered, still strives to shape a better future for the Seven Kingdoms. Now reduced to a quivering, incompetent mess. The man has not made a good decision in years. Daenerys should have fired his ass. The only thing I could think about Tyrion the last few seasons was that Tywin Lannister was right. Remember how he used to describe him? A drunk? Low cunning? Well, it turns out Tyrion's father was correct. Just on a side note, why did Cersei not use wildfire during the final battle? I mean, granted you might assume that the wildfire won't do any damage to the dragons, but it could fuck up Daenerys' army. We know there are caches of it hidden throughout the city. We know that her pyromancers can make more of it. So why didn't she use it? Why at no point did Tyrion ever warn Dany that she had the wildfire? I don't know. Fuck it, who cares? Another character ruined. Jaime Lannister, oathbreaker, sisterfucker, openly despised. A seemingly irredeemable character, yet after losing his sword hand, Jaime embarks on an arc of redemption, rescuing Brienne, freeing his brother, and finally walking away from Cersei to fulfill his oath to fight for the living. Seasons of character development shattered in one exchange with Tyrion. I honestly could not believe what I was listening to. Tyrion tries to convince Jaime to sneak into the city and escape with Cersei. But before he does so, he wants him to ring the bell to signal their surrender, to save tens of thousands of innocent lives. To which Jaime replies, you know, I've never cared much for the innocents. Really? Because I seem to remember back in season 3, that little confession you gave to Brienne, when you gave her the full facts of what happened the day you killed the Mad King, how he was going to burn everyone alive in King's Landing and you killed him to save them. But no, apparently you don't give a fuck about the innocents. What about when you left Cersei 4 episodes ago to go and fight the army of the undead to save the innocents? Did the writers forget about that? Years of investment in this character wasted was all for nothing. Jaime never changed, never cared. All he wants is Cersei, and fuck the rest of the world. Jon Snow, the bastard of Winterfell who became the king in the north, the prince who was promised the child of ice and fire, the most important character on the show, destined to lead the fight during the long night and defeat the White Walkers, is now a subservient foot soldier to Daenerys. The man who spent 7 seasons preparing for the Great War, his sole purpose to protect life from the army of the undead, becomes complicit in the massacre of tens of thousands of innocent lives. Whenever I look at Jon since episode 3, it almost seems as though the actor who plays him expected to be killed off during the final fight with the White Walkers, because he just has this kind of confused, bewildered look on his face the whole time, as if, what am I still doing here? And so does his character, by the way, because he's done nothing the last couple of episodes, apart from hold Daenerys' hand and give her constant reassurance. I don't know. Arya. Arya's not even my favourite character. I could give a fuck about her story, to be honest, but still, another character they just butchered. She started out as a rebellious girl, rejecting the life of a lady, refusing to adhere to convention, craving adventure and independence. After the loss of her father and later her mother and brother, Arya, psychologically and emotionally scarred, travels to Bravo seeking the knowledge and skills on all those who have wronged her and the ones she loves. Arya approaches the Red Keep, all her travels and training seemingly about to come to fruition as she prepares to scratch the final name off her list, Cersei, only to decide at the last minute, when the Hound says, hey, get lost, kid. Yeah, I'm over this whole revenge thing. I mean, sure, it's been my entire fucking purpose for years, but I'm just gonna move on with my life. Yeah, fuck it, who cares? More subversion! Which brings me finally to Daenerys, the unburnt, Queen of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, Queen of Meereen, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Protector of the Realm, Lady Regent of the Seven Kingdoms, Breaker of Chains, yada yada yada, Mother of Dragons, exiled from her home, abused by her brother, sold to the Dothraki, to be raped and humiliated, but still she perseveres, earning the loyalty of Ser Jorah and the respect of the Dothraki before giving birth to 3 dragons. Now granted, she could be ruthless when the occasion called for it, but she's still grounded by a sense of fairness and a kind heart. She delays her return home to take the Iron Throne in order to free the slaves in Essos. When she learns her dragons may have murdered a child, the guilt is too much for her to bear, imprisoning 2 of her dragons to protect the lives of the innocents under her rule. She brought her dragons and her army north to battle the undead, allowing Cersei to continue sitting smugly on the Iron Throne, losing one of her dragons, half her army. Yes, her ultimate goal was to rule Westeros, but not through fear or unnecessary bloodshed. She desired to usher in an era of peace and prosperity, to wash away the stain of the Mad King and restore the honor of her house. The last war has finally arrived and the city surrenders. The war is over. Dany has won. So to celebrate the beginning of her reign, Daenerys goes genocidal, slaughtering tens of thousands of innocent men, women and children for absolutely no reason. I just could not believe what I was watching. But fuck it, who cares? Subversion. Clearly the showrunners, just after running out of material around season 5, just decided we gotta wrap this shit up. And the only way we can do that is to completely abandon logic and all of the character development that we have invested in For years.
When you find yourself in bed with an ugly woman, best close your eyes, get it over with. Cut her throat. Be done with it.